Yeah, the video's not up. Here we go. I think we're good. We're good now. No, they got it up. They just fixed it. Yeah, the video wasn't up. Yes, we're good.
All right, I'd like to call this November 12th meeting of City Council to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gregg.
Here.
Councilmember Shealy.
Here.
Councilmember McBride.
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell. Councilmember Brady. Councilmember Gregory. Councilmember Waring. Councilmember Seekings. Councilmember Tinkler. Councilmember Bowden. Councilmember Appel. Councilmember Parker. Mayor Cogswell.
Here. I'd now like to ask Councilmember Shealy to give the invocation and lead everybody in the Pledge of Allegiance.
You would please stand. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings of this day, Lord. We allow you allowing us to serve the people of Charleston. Lord, grant us wisdom and clarity as we discuss the matters before us. Make every decision strengthen our neighborhoods, uplift our citizens, and honor the trust placed in us. Bless our first responders, our city employees, and all who work each day to keep Charleston safe and thriving. May we act with humility, unity, and a spirit of service to all. For it's in your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have one proclamation tonight, and I'd like to call on, is Miss Dorothy Jenkins here? Come on up to the dais, please. So this is a proclamation honoring the NAACP. You want to come on up here? I'll read this and we'll get a picture. Got it? How are you? Whereas, established in 1909 in response to the racial oppression and inequality, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, has long championed education, opportunity, and justice for all people across the United States. And whereas artist Edwin Charleston founded the Charleston branch of the NAACP in 1917, ensuring that Black Charlestonians had a voice to address local discrimination and inequalities. And whereas throughout its history, the Charleston branch has advocated for equality in education and employment, fought for the desegregation of public spaces, and advanced fair voting rights and representation across all levels of government. And whereas under the leadership of President Dorothy M. Jenkins, with the assistance of her executive committee, the branch has strengthened its presence and impact by engaging with school board, conducting membership and voter registration drives, inspiring a youth chapter at the College of Charleston, hosting the South Carolina NAACP State Conference, and establishing community events such as Black History Program, Get Out the Vote Initiative, and Health Fair. And whereas in the past year, the Charleston branch has continued its proud legacy of service and leadership by hosting a Veterans Day breakfast, moving into its new offices at the James Lewis apartment complex, and holding another successful health fair. And whereas the branch is currently awaiting the results of 2 grant applications written to improve the quality of education for local students, as it plans to partner with 2 of Charleston's middle schools to further this mission. And whereas the NAACP Charleston branch remains a vital part of our community, upholding the organization's founding values of equality, advocacy, and collective empowerment. Now, therefore, I, William S. Cogswell, Jr., Mayor of the City of Charleston, do hereby proclaim November 14th, 2025 is NAACP Charleston Branch Day. Want to say anything?
It is truly a privilege and an honor to be here And it is awesome that we would recognize our accomplishments and have the community give an opportunity for us to celebrate together. We will have an opportunity on the 14th to make sure we recognize those persons in our community who have done an outstanding job so that we can recognize their achievements and to continue our legacy of moving forward in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. It's from you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, since there are no public hearings tonight, can I get a motion to approve council minutes? Motion made, probably seconded. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We're now on to citizens' participation. Madam Clerk, how many people we have signed up?
We have 5.
All right, I'll give everybody a minute and a half.
All right, the time is 1.5 minutes. Anthony Bryant.
I saw Capitol Police just do a agreement regarding threats against elected officials. And I just saw that, I would say last week, talking about my Supreme Court public comment, my Supreme Court protest regarding the issue of Judge Taney and his position on the fact that Black men don't have no rights, white men have to respect. Now, if that comes out of this city, you know for a fact, my name's high on the chart as far as paper terrorism or whatever, right? Okay, so that's a fact. Now, this is a Catholic Diocese of Charleston. My name's Anthony G. Bryant, not Anthony C. Bryant, okay? So we'll get this straightened out. We went to the diocese regarding my name, right? And I couldn't get the information. They referred me to a federal agency. How would a church know to send me to a federal agency absent of their membership? Their membership to judges, you got some of the Supreme Court members that are Catholics. So how was it this happened in a backdrop of something pretty serious in my life? Well, let me tell you something. Let me let you know something right now. I'm built for it. I'm built for it. Remember that. I'm built for this. Don't ever think I ain't built for this. You understand me? Some of y'all ain't from here, ain't been here ever in your life. Don't think a Charlestonian ain't built to fight all y'all one time. Don't think that. My ancestors go on my back every day. No persecution coming to me whatsoever. Descendants of slaves came to this place right here. Not but slaves came through here.
Time.
And got nothing but strength and power. Take this, my friend. Give us to the mayor. Slave here.
Myra Paulson.
Hi. Hello, my name is Myra Paulson, and I live at 22 Lawrence Street. And I'm here to say whoop, whoop to two departments or whoever else was involved. Number one, I got my swings back in Gatlinburg Park, and I'm thoroughly enjoying them, and I am really excited. They did a very good job on it, and it took a while, but they are back. The second thing is on Lawrence Street, down the curve, side the curve, it always held water. People parked their cars, they'd get out in a mud puddle. Of course, it gave a breeding place for mosquitoes and different things. And over the 6 years that I've been here, I have put in many a complaint to the fact is that something needed to be done about this. Well, last week, something did get done about it. And they come out and redid the curb and the drains. And I had the opportunity of again going out there and watch them do this job. And I've got good memories of when my granddaddy and I used to pour concrete. So anyway, they did a good job. And with the rain that we have had so far, it has drained off and it's not a puddle, and the people that parks there are not getting out in. So we go, hoo, hoo, to everybody here. Thank you.
Marion Platt.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and neighbors. My name is Reverend Dr. Marion Platt, and I am the Executive Director and Pastor of Star Gospel Mission, which has served Charleston for 122 years, helping neighbors find stability and hope when their life has fallen apart. Tonight's approval of the fee and lieu item means so much. It comes at a moment of real urgency for our city as more families, especially women and children, are without homes and with too few places to turn. And so our expansion will add dozens of living spaces for men, women, and children experiencing homelessness, providing not just shelter, but transitional housing that moves people from crisis to self-sufficiency by grace. So on behalf of the board and the clients and guests of Star Gospel Mission, thank you for believing in our work and helping make sure that hope can find a home here in Charleston. Thank you. May God bless each of you, and may God bless the Holy City.
Stephen Rosenberg.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. My name is Stephen Rosenberg. I'm the president of North Central Neighborhood Association. I'm here tonight in that capacity and as a private citizen of District 4 to thank Councilman Mitchell, for his service. I got to know Councilman Mitchell over the last few years as he supported my efforts to rebuild our neighborhood association and make positive changes in our community, like the recently passed BAR amendment. Thank you, Council. Councilman Mitchell always struck me as the sort of politician I fear we may see fewer and fewer of: modest, quietly effective, and highly attuned to the goings-on of the neighborhood. I recently called him after a shooting. He answered my call from the crime scene, already there speaking with residents and officials. I proudly supported Councilman Mitchell's re-election campaign because I know Robert to be a good, honest, God-fearing man with a big record that few knew about, particularly after recent redistricting: affordable housing, flood mitigation, public safety, you name it. Speaking of naming it, should the council find itself pondering what to call the Low Country Lowline, I think the Robert Mitchell Low Country Lowline has a nice ring to it. Don't you think? Thank you.
Zach Vicini.
I wanted to come here because the pedicab bid was recently completed and thank each of you for following through on that commitment. The results were not as I hoped, but I did want to share some data. In 2021, the city renewed 30 decals and it received a very modest fee. The revenue derived by the city, or the revenue derived for the city by the recently completed bid for just 6 nighttime limited decals, it not only exceeded that number that you got in 21, it did so in a staggering fashion. In fact, the city made more money on one single nighttime decal than it did renewing all 30 that you did in 2021. And that was repeated multiple times. Councilman Seekings, you said there was no guaranteed winner, but I respectfully disagree. Our city was the ultimate winner, with real dollars filling our coffers without any taxes. I mention this because deferred on today's docket is the first reading of a change to the renewal policy. In just about 10 months, August of 2026, 30 tags are set to expire. And once again, I'm encouraging you to hold a bid. But now there's real data behind it. And I'd ask, before you vote on that measure, look up that data, check it for yourself, and check about that revenue. Renewing decals without a bid is bad for the city.
Time.
Long-term contracts that run decades is bad for the city. It's easy to see. Please check that data. Thank you.
And those are all the speakers that signed up. We did receive one comment from Harrison Steinberg, who supported funding the Calhoun corridor improvements through the transportation sales tax.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Again, there are no petitions and communications, but we do have one council communication tonight. We've got Councilman McBride, who's going to present a presentation on Johns Island. For the record, there's the protocol is 10 minutes of speaking per council member. Councilman McBride is asked to have 20 minutes. I've agreed to that. We are going to time it. The clerk, I've asked her to do that just to make sure that we adhere to our guidelines and principles. So with that, we're going to give you 10-minute warning, 15-minute, 19. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Looking forward to this. Thank you for putting it together. It's been a lot of hard work, I know. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Councilman McBride.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council, for the opportunity to give this presentation. I am aware that everyone except for myself and Councilman Tinkler and the mayor worked deliberately to figure out the new redistricting. And you debated whether to have one council member or several council members overlapping Johns Island. You ended with the former and you ended up with me. So like it or not, I'm the guy and I'm working hard. And I want to report out to you all what I've learned about the issues on Johns Island. And how, give some recommendations about what we can do to fix it. The audience is also, of course, the public and the state and the county. So this is obviously the greater Charleston area. Reclaiming my time, just kidding. So that is the city of Charleston. District 3 in the orange is the city part of Johns Island, and there's the rest of the 12 districts. That's the Johns Island portion. So the city portion of Johns Island is just about 20% of Johns Island, and there it is again in orange. So I wanted to point out, give us some examples as to why, how far behind infrastructure we are on Johns Island, which all of you are aware. Fire stations is one great example. The rule of thumb for fire stations is about 2.5 miles apart, and you can see that is not the case on Johns Island. Has not been for quite a while. The good news is, thanks to this previous council before my term and the current council and the current mayor, new fire station is being built right now, which will add to our coverage. And the mayor is working on future plans for 2 new fire stations and a police substation on Johns Island. But as of right now, we're far behind. Parks is another example. Again, you can see all the parks in the city of Charleston and the big lack of parks, not only in Johns Island, but outer West Ashley as well. But again, good news, thanks to the previous council and this council, we have a great new aquatic center coming, estimated 2028, late 2027, which we're all deeply grateful for. But again, just showing an example of that infrastructure is not just roads, it's also things like fire stations and parks, and we have a lot of catching up to do on Johns Island. And there is some land that was bought previous council for a future park that needs development to be used for walking paths and maybe a dog park or something. We'll see. Okay, so these are all the major arteries, all the major roads on Johns Island near the city portion. And every one of these roads has these in common. They're all only 2 lanes. They all have small or no shoulders. There's almost no sidewalks, trees on both sides, and they're all state roads. Everybody that lives on Johns Island needs to travel on one of these roads to get off the island, of course. There's only 2 ways on and off Johns Island. And again, the orange portions are the city portion of Johns Island, and the rest is unincorporated county. So I'm gonna start off with Maybank Highway, and I'm just gonna show pictures of each of these to illustrate my point. And Maybank is, as the mayor has coined, the main street of Johns Island. We're no longer a rural community. We're more and more an urban community. And that's our main street, which is woefully inadequate. This is another view of Maybank Highway going left to right. And I just wanted to illustrate that on Johns Island with River Road, Maybank, there's no alternate parallel paths. We're bottlenecked on Maybank, River Road, and Main Road. So there's not an opportunity for overflow onto another road. Those dotted lines on the map are future plans for potential connections as developments happen on Johns Island for potential multi-use paths. So those dotted lines are not there. There's not a lot of connection on Johns Island. So Main Road, very similar. 2 lanes, little to no shoulders. That's my truck. I just drove around all these roads, took a picture, put it on there. Trees on each side. River Road, this is my biggest concern as far as safety. Upper River Road, north of Maybank Highway. That's what it looks like. You can see almost 0 shoulders, much of it, and there's deep stormwater ditches as well.
CCSD did add recently with a new school, 3,000 feet of stormwater piping and shoulder improvements with the new school, and I'm very thankful for that, but there's many, many more thousands of ditches on Upper River Road. These are some examples of trucks that have fallen into those ditches on Upper River Road. And these are just a small sampling of many, many pictures. This just happened very recently, a couple weeks ago. That's the road we want to connect across if we can get some TST funding. And then unfortunately on 5 November, just a few days ago, 2 Johns Island men died in an overturned underwater vehicle going off the bridge on that same road. Nowhere else in Charleston would that happen. That's being under investigation right now by the Sheriff's Department. Brownswood Road, same thing, very little shoulders, 2 lanes, no sidewalks. None of these have sidewalks except for very small stretches. Murraywood Road. So this is a very uncharacteristic quality of this district of Johns Island that's different from all the other districts. And I'm fully aware that each district has its own needs. Different districts, of course, have more flooding. We don't have much flooding problems on Johns Island. We do have some, but not much. You know, there's higher crime in other parts, other districts. Low-income housing is a greater need in other parts of Charleston. So I'm fully aware we all have our own unique issues, but this is our issue. South River Road, south of Maybank Highway, same thing. And just keep in mind that what I'm kind of driving at is, you know, we're an island, and for hurricane evacuation and other evacuations, these are what our roads look like. Bohicket, Plow Ground, all almost cookie cutter, the same. This, I got to give credit to Councilwoman Parker, who first showed me this map. This is a map of all the state-owned roads on Johns Island. All those red roads are state roads. We have an unbelievable amount of state roads, not only in Johns Island, but the rest of Charleston. All those roads are state roads: Maybank, River, Brownswood, Murraywood, Main Road, Bohicket Road, and many more. Going over to James Island, even more. Maybank Highway, Riverland Drive, Central Park Road, Camp Road, many, many more. All those red roads are state roads, and you can see the peninsula up in the top right. Even more roads are state roads, percentage-wise. So I'm not going to read all this, but South Carolina has 41,000 miles of state roads, and that is funded by a 28-cent per gallon gas tax, and then there's the issue there about the C funds that the county gets a portion of. I won't read it, but what does 41,000 miles of state-owned roads look like? That's the state roads. Those are all state roads. All those purple lines are state roads. South Carolina ranks 40th in geography size, 23rd in population, 4th in total miles of state roads. So we're definitely out of balance, and that's causing a lot of problems as far as the improvement of our roads. So you've seen the roads. I know those who've lived here for your whole lives, you're used to Johns Island being a very rural population, and it has been. But I want to show you the rapid population growth that are overwhelming those roads. So here's the city population growth in just the city portion of Johns Island, the orange portion. 2010, the population was 5,266. 10 years later, it doubled to 11,884. In 2025, about 14,819. This is based on either census data or census plus permitting data. So the numbers are pretty accurate. So now, but who uses those roads are not just those in the city, it's the city and the county, of course. So I'm going to do city and county population growth. 2010, 15,000. 2020, 26,000. An estimated 2030, 31,000 on Johns Island city and county combined. But of course, it's not just the city and the county on Johns Island. It's also Kiowa, Seabrook, Wadmalaw, and Rockville that all use those same roads, all going through that portion right there of Johns Island in the city. In 2020, about 30,000 population. And I'm going to show you the population growth percentage-wise, 1990. You can see 2000, 2010, 2020. So the population growth has accelerated every 10 years pretty dramatically. And of all the Sea Island population, Johns Island share is about 76% of that. That's what it looks like on a chart. The Johns Island portion, city and county, is the smaller lines, both population and units. So you can see that we drive the 10 minutes, drive the growth. And so 2030, all of the Sea Islands, about 37,000 population going through those small, narrow, 2-lane, no sidewalk state roads. That look like that. Okay, SCDOT, they're fully aware of this. There's a SCDOT modernization effort going on right now. They published this report like this, Momentum 2050. They've acknowledged that they're already not able to fund the roads. We've talked about that in TNT earlier today. And future revenue, they're expecting to have even more shortfalls between 2030 and 2050. Those white portion of those lines are even greater shortfalls that they don't expect to get unless something changes. Same report, SCDOT, natural disasters and resiliency, zooming in on Charleston. There's 30 roads closed most often due to hurricanes 2015 to 2023. And at least 3 of those are on Johns Island. 2018 was the first discussion about municipalities taking over some state roads. It's didn't happen, but they're still talking about it with this modernization. BCD COG, Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester Council of Governments, came to Charleston County on June 24th of this year to present to them traffic data, updated traffic data, to help them prepare for the transportation sales tax, 2026 transportation sales tax. So this is what they presented, 2019 traffic data versus 2045. And level of service, so TDM and VC over our head, very technical stuff that all translates to level of service, which is basically a report card of traffic flow on roads on an A through F scale, just like a report card. A being really good, F being forced or breakdown flow with severe congestion and unpredictable travel times. Ron Mitchin, the executive director of BCD COG, said to Charleston County Council that, and that report card is a national standard. Level of service is a national standard. Every state follows it, adheres to it. He said that for the sake of discussion, that I had to come up with another category of F to show how worse than failing certain roads are in Charleston County. So that's that new category of F, magenta, and lo and behold, Maybank and River Road, since at least 2019, has been F- level of service. 2045, this is even after Main Road Segment A is completed, with the population growth they expect. Highway 17 still expected to be a failing level of service, and you can see some F- as well. This happens to be the hurricane evacuation route. And then this is the City of Charleston's water plan, Charleston 2050. Kalen presented to Johns Island Council a few weeks ago. That's where I saw this, and I noticed that the area most susceptible to flooding, according to this, I wanted to see where that was, so I overlaid a map on it. Oh, it happens to be on Main Road, which is our hurricane evacuation route on Johns Island. So conclusion, despite recent very grateful investments by the City of Charleston on Johns Island infrastructure, which will be phenomenal when we get a recreation center, and hopefully, and I know County Council and Councilman Joe Boykin, told me I can say this, working on getting the funding for the widening of Maybank between River Road and the Stone River Bridge will help tremendously. And when Main Road Segment A is complete in 2028 for a while, will help tremendously. What can we do? What can the city do to mitigate these issues that I'm bringing up? So in 2021, Charleston City Council passed, I think it was 2021, passed the Municipal Improvement, Johns Island Municipal Improvement District, which is effectively impact fees on new developments only, and fees go directly towards Johns Island infrastructure. After a pause for legal review, the state authorized it based on South Carolina code right there, short title Authority of Municipalities or the Municipal Improvement Act of 1999. But the council chose not to implement it, partly because I think the redistricting and some other things going on. So it did not get implemented despite being passed. So during 2019, when the city staff and the city council was talking about the mid and what it could do for Johns Island, it was expected to bring in over $17 million in the first year, then every 3 years, for a total of $52 million in the first 6 years. 5 minutes. So that is, again, it's 2019. A lot has changed. A lot of development has happened. So the numbers would be completely different now. But that's to show what potential that the mid could have brought to Johns Island infrastructure. Okay, another example, there's a few municipalities, both county and towns. This is North Augusta, South Carolina, not Augusta, Georgia, North Augusta, South Carolina. They passed a while back an adequate public facilities ordinance, which basically ensures that no development application is approved that would cause a reduction in the levels of service of for any public facilities below the standards that they establish. So there's examples that are out there. Councilman Appel talked about one at a county level. I think what was it? Berkeley County has something similar. You can do it differently for every municipality. There's no one-stop solution, of course. There also, North Augusta recently did an impact fee study in January 2025. That's the Development Impact Fee Act from South Carolina, grants the power for cities and counties to collect development impact fees on new development. And that's how an impact fee study could be started there on the bottom. So here's some of my recommendations and requests just from the mayor to consider to direct legal and planning departments to examine whether a road infrastructure's level of service defined by BCD COG could be added to the planning commission decision criteria, because right now the planning commission basically just looks essentially right in front of, with some buffer, where development is going in. It doesn't consider, just a quick example, any development on River Road, Upper River Road, will impact the worst intersection arguably in Charleston, which is the Maybank River intersection, because it's a funnel. There's no alternate routes. So even if the intersection is a mile or 2 miles away, it's still a dramatic impact. So I think we should be looking at that, the planning departments, before they approve those kind of things. Number two, direct the planning department to look at including a road infrastructure's level of service to the technical review committee. Request that legal department include the city's police department to the TRC process. The last I checked, I think only the fire department's included. I could be wrong about that. But ensuring that the police department has a say as to traffic safety, things like that in our decisions. Request the legal department to determine whether adequate public facilities such as North Augusta, South Carolina is feasible to add to City of Charleston zoning ordinances and planning commission and TRC committee processes. And the last two, request the planning department to re-examine the Johns Island Municipal Improvement District to look into transportation and look into other things such as the Transportation Improvement District, which I found out recently is a thing that exists, could apply. And I was going to do an ordinance, but I'm running out of time, or not an ordinance, sorry, a motion, but I'm not going to do it. But my request is to have some feedback on some of these recommendations from the city staff and from the mayor, so we can look at options. And then number 6, request the planning department and TNT department to refine and define specific tangible projects that could facilitate better connectivity on Johns Island. So I showed the map earlier on about Maybank Highway. So there's a lot of potential north of Maybank Highway, but there's just no funding for it. And we're just kind of waiting on developments to happen to be able to do that. So if there was some way we could get funding, and it could be part of a Maybank corridor, larger TST project, but just if we have them defined, then when money becomes available, we can potentially put towards those projects to add to connectivity on Johns Island. I made it in 20 minutes.
That was not on the 20 minutes making, right? I was just kidding. It was very thoughtful. I know a lot of hard work went into that, Councilman McBride, and you've been, no question, a dogged representative of your district. And so I think that was very informative. I'll turn it over any questions any of you all might have. Comments?
I'd just like to
Councilman Waring.
I'd like to make an observation, and we who were around the table prior to Councilmember McBride being elected, we listened to the people on Johns Island that came in front. And it was a lot of movement for that district to be cut up into three and be shared amongst three council members. I think Councilmember Appel, good council lady over here, and my brother to the right here. But when we listen to the people of Johns Island, I'll never forget saying one is the loneliest number versus having three. But I got to tell you, you represent those people outstandingly. And the message that you delivered to all of us, we all part of the problem so we can be part of that solution. So thank you for pulling this information together. Because, we depend on one another to know more. And in our district, I depend on Council Lady Parker to know, what's going on over there in District 12, and Councilmember Bowden and Brady and Shealy and especially Daniel Allen. None of us know what's going on over there at Daniel Allen. So, but I mean, you've done a wonderful job, and proud to have you as part of this council.
All right, I get, Councilman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for that presentation, Councilmember McBride. I will say, Councilmember Brady, you worked extensively on the mid. I remember it. It took a lot of time, staff. We sat around and heard public comment. Overwhelmed. You worked really hard on that mid, and it was not supported, is I think what we all gathered. It was not supported by Johns Island residents. So I hear what you're saying, but I just remember that, and I just want to make sure, that I'm sure you know that, but that was the sentiment that we all felt.
Well, again, very thorough, Jim. Councilman McBride, I really appreciate you putting that together. I think you've given some homework for staff. I look forward to working with staff and you to address those 6 points, and we'll gladly do so. And happy to report back to council either as a whole or through various committees as appropriate. Councilman Waring?
Thank you. What happens, I'm gonna create a mushroom cloud, okay? What happens if we had a mid that included Johns Island, West Ashley, and James Island? You'd have money for rethink Farley Road, obviously the infrastructure problems, West Ashley, and obviously James Island, and the money rotated that way. TIF districts has been extremely powerful for the peninsula, and we've seen some results West Ashley now. But what happens if we had an area like that? I'm not looking for an answer tonight, but one of the problems is, we know the problems and we don't have the revenue. So just wonder if somebody looked at it maybe holistically and see there could be maybe more money for all.
Councilman Parker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to leave this here because I won't be here. So my only problem with that, I think Councilman Appel and myself have had this conversation a long time ago. And my problem that I found with it is that, these roads aren't ours. The state is not putting in their fair shake at the county in some aspects. That's for our taxpayers to have to foot the bill. We're already paying for it. We just aren't receiving all the services. So I just want to leave that one there. I agree with you. I think a lot of city residents sometimes look at their city tax bill and are very aware, I'm willing to pay more for whatever reason. I want nicer facilities. I want this. But when it comes to roads and the multi-jurisdictional issues, it's a whole other bag to, mixed up bag. So that's where I'd leave it. And that's my feeling as well. Cause Johns Island, very similar over on James Island. We're an island too. Only a couple of pinch points, only a few ways to get off. And, but that's my sentiment, is that just, we'll pay more, we'll fix our own roads, but we want the state or someone, I think you said it early perfectly in TNT, is if we can come up with that agreement, if SCDOT can figure out a way to rewire that, then that's the ticket. Cause I think at this point we have the manpower, woman power to to clear the ditches, get the work done that we need, but, I think it just comes down to money and, the taxes and
Yeah, I think,
splitting it fairly, but that's it. Thank you.
yeah, you make a good point on the fact that these are state roads and that, the magenta map of all the state roads, that you showed, I think is really, compelling. And as mentioned by Councilwoman Parker, we did discuss in the TNT meeting the fact that the state is in the process of going through a potential overhaul of DOT. So it is incumbent upon us as local elected officials to do everything we can to make sure that effort sees fruit for not just our region, but really the state. And I can tell you this, that our district from DOT is one of the lowest funded, if not the lowest funded district in all of the state. And that is, again, because of these formulas that I mentioned earlier, quality of the asphalt, which we get penalized for because we do a lot of the paving ourselves because we can't wait on the state, but also miles of road. And we actually, if you looked at that map closely, we technically don't have as many miles of road in the low country. Well, that's because we have a lot of water and marsh, which also makes those roads and the construction thereof a lot more expensive. So it's going in the wrong direction to be, and penalizes us. So it's one of these efforts that we're trying, being very aggressive with the committee, to try and get them to see the light on this front. And now, this kind of data, Councilman McBride, is the perfect kind of information, as is the fact that, and this often falls on deaf ears in Columbia, but the amount of revenue that the Low Country provides in terms of the coffers of our state. And I think that's something that, it's interesting. It's very difficult to get the data on that. But I think as we as a municipality, being the largest city in the state and the largest city in the, certainly the Tri-County, we should start digging into and being able to demonstrate, not in an effort to say, look how great we are and look how much money we give you, but this is an investment worth protecting. This is where you want to protect your revenue streams. And so couching it in the context of economics, I think would be an appropriate thing to add perhaps to your 6 initiatives. Councilman Seeger.
Just really quickly, Mr. Mayor, and your comments and observations about Councilmember McBride's presentation and District 6 at the SCDOT, you did make the comment that, when we get impatient about them coming and doing some work, we have to take it in our own hands and do the paving. Just so everybody's clear out there, we is the county.
We as a
not
county.
the
Thank you.
city.
Right.
But with the rejoinder that is another reason why the intermediate step between the county and the city is the state and the city is the county and the half-cent sales tax, which is, for many of the things that you talked about in your presentation, is vitally important that we extend it next year.
Amen. Amen. Councilman
One-
McBride.
one quick comment.
You've had your 20 minutes.
So yeah, start the new clock over again. Just one quick comment of clarification. Like all those main arteries, I was not trying to imply, I didn't mean to imply that if we did a mid or whatever funding source, it would be to fund those kind of things. I'm talking about other connectivities,
Sure.
multi-use paths, things like
Sure.
that. Just to make that clear. But yes, we are, and part of the rationale for this as well is, to educate the public on how many roads are state roads, because a lot of them don't know a lot of those roads, especially on James Island and the Peninsula. A lot of our constituents don't know those are state roads. They just don't know. A lot of them are in the neighborhoods, and if they know that, and they'll understand, okay, yeah, the state hasn't been improving these roads, so maybe a transportation sales tax makes sense.
And can I just quickly follow up? That's an excellent presentation. You obviously worked really hard on it. I'm sure there are others who are going to want to see it. And if you can stick a slide in there that puts an ask in there for the half-cent sales tax, it would be greatly helpful. I've got one if you'd like me to share it.
Yeah, I think that would work. And I do think it's important. I do want to just say this again for the record. DOT is often the punching bag of a lot of complaints because, again, they're their roads, right? Well, I can tell you this too. We work a lot with DOT, And they are doing their best. They are working hard, but they have a near impossible task. And so I do think it's important to just, when we do these sort of, have these conversations and presentations, to make sure that we're really not trying to make them the punching bag. It's just identifying the challenges that we have and figuring out ways that we can collectively come together to help solve them. So I didn't want to throw that out there for the good of the cause, so to speak. All right, if there are no further questions on this, again, thank you, Councilman McBride, for such a thorough presentation. Now on to consent agenda items. We're on Committee on Recreation. There's one consent agenda item on the recreation report, but no action is needed. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, right, I don't think we need, there isn't any action to come
Okay.
before. But
Any-
if I can just say,
Sure.
it was we had a great update from Mr. Kronsberg and Ms. Yarborough, and as usual, our Parks and Recreation Department is killing it. Everything looks amazing. The fall season, I believe just wrapped up, I think. And winter sports are about to start, but, thank you to our Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you.
Yep. Now I'd like to call on Councilmember Shealy for the Committee on Public Safety report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Committee on Public Safety met October 21st at 4 p.m. The Police and Fire Department together received unanimous approval to accept the FY25 Port Security Grant Program totaling $832,600. And the Police Department also gave us an update on their juvenile curfew ordinance. That concludes my report, and I ask for approval of the adoption of this report, please.
Second.
Motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now on to Community Development. Councilman Mitchell.
Community development, we had 3 items on our agenda. The first one's a presentation approval of a transfer fee in lieu funds from the Courier Square to the Star Gospel Mission for the development of affordable housing. That was approved by the committee. And that's something that's really, we need to push that through. And it's a historical event because this Star Gospel Mission been in that community forever. And we supporting it highly. Then the project 3500, I'm asking that the clerk please get in touch with all the council members on our next community development meeting. If we can have all the council members there at that particular meeting, so we can hear the presentation that the mayor had pertaining to that, so we wouldn't have so many questions going around later on. And I try to avoid those type things. So if that's possible, if all the council members can be at the next community development meeting, and the mayor will do the presentation pertaining to the 3500, so we'll all be on the same page. And that's and then we have another. The last thing on my agenda was a presentation that Councilman McBride wanted, but that was taken care of by our colleague. I go get ready to say council member, but Mr. Gianna Johnson. She answered the question. He was satisfied, so I asked everyone to just approve that report.
We have
If I can get someone to make a motion and move.
the Courier Square. Yeah, we have motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now, I'd like to call on Councilmember Waring for Committee for Public Works and Utilities.
All items you see listed on the agenda passed the committee, actionable items passed unanimously, and I move the adoption of the report.
Second.
Motion made, properly seconded. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now on to Councilmember Seekings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Committee on Traffic and Transportation did meet today, but we also met a couple weeks ago as well. There were a few items on there. One is we approved the code enforcement officer, Mr. Louis Staggers III. He was here. We welcomed him. We had a traffic calming request in District 2, Councilmember Shealy's district on Wabeek Way. That was approved. We had a discussion about motor coach buses south of Broad Street. That is really not so much a traffic and transportation issue as it is a geometry math issue. Big buses and oak trees don't mix. So we'll be back to you with some recommendations on sort of limiting the size of vehicles that go south to Broad. We continued our ongoing discussions about the transportation sales tax initiative. We talked principally about downtown and West Ashley. Again, more coming on that, and you all have been really good about participating in the TNT discussions, which I think are important. We also, ironically, given the conversations we're having tonight, approved an SCDOT road maintenance transfer request on Bear Swamp Road for, I believe that was along Savannah portion of the project, and Ingram Road for the Diocese project. Those that needed votes were all approved unanimously, and I would ask the same of this council. That concludes my report.
Second.
Motion made, probably seconded. Councilman Bowden.
So the Bear Swamp Road one, did we take on maintenance for that?
For portions of it, the answer is yes for the Diocese project.
You said Bear Swamp.
Yeah, that's Ingram.
Sorry, reverse.
So
Yeah, for Long Savannah, sorry.
it occurs to me that there are going to be a lot of like heavy trucks going down that apparently pretty high speeds according to the email that I'm getting from at least one person. So I expect that a lot of damage is going to be done to that road. And for a lot of years, they're going to be doing, that's going to be kind of the main route to get trucks back there for the work they're doing. So, is there any contribution from the developers to repair damage that's, pretty obviously attributable to construction?
Let me dig into the development agreement on that one and get back to you. And one of the
I'm
big.
confident the answer to that is yes, Mr. Mayor, but we need to look specifically at it. Because, that it is something they need to make sure this project goes forward and that we've got the transportation in and out of there. I'm just looking at the request from Mr. Bucci, and I believe the answer is yes.
Agreed. And then another component of this, and I'll get the more details for you from planning staff, but this was something that Mr. Keene was working on. And again, like I say, we'll get to the details, but part of this was also for some pretty decent improvements that would be made to that I think are going to be really additive to the neighborhood. But you make a good point on the long-term maintenance, just making sure that we're not getting stuck with something that we know is going to be a problem versus.
Yeah, it's not a huge deal now, but as more people are driving on those
Yep.
roads out of neighborhoods, it can be a lot of pop tires and whatnot.
Yep, agreed. Councilman Waring?
Well, I was just about to say, before we vote approval on it, I think we ought to find out whether it's in there or not. That's the question that Councilman Bowden.
I think I would ask that we give this approval, we come back and revisit it, because we need to get this through the TRC process, because I believe this is being dedicated back to meet some city requirements in that development, which will make the road better, not worse.
Right.
Including but not limited to access for, among other things, transit. So we can get the specifics, but it is so that this project and this portion of the project can meet heightened requirements and specifications. And I also believe it probably will include not putting utilities under the roads, which you can't do currently with the SCDOT. So I think we probably ought to let this go forward through TRC, and then if we need to come back and talk with the developer, we will.
I agree. And I think we can get that information very quickly. So.
Okay, good. You're gonna stay on top of it, right?
We'll stay on top of it.
Because he's right. Those trucks going to be going back there for years. Along Savannah, acreage wise, is about as large as Daniel Island. So that's going to be going on for a long time. It's going to be a lot of damage for a long time. But what I really raised my hand for, on the previous half-cent sales tax, we had a discussion, the mayor and several council members, about obviously TST. And one of the things we discussed was potentially a fourth clover leaf where I-526 and Glen McConnell intersects. We have 3 clover leafs right now. To do it, that left turn lane in the previous half-cent sales tax, there was a flyover proposed in there to eliminate that left turn. People going off of Glen McConnell headed north. Obviously, it died with when the half-cent sales tax died. So the county put the flyover in. I think it's a great idea. 4th cloverleaf or flyover, but eliminating that left turn lane would provide a huge traffic benefit on Glen McConnell in the morning with people headed obviously into the city and headed north. So I want to make sure that flyover request, cloverleaf, whatever, I guess the flyover would be less expensive, but the key thing is you have continuous flow as opposed to a left turn light where you have a good bit of intersects
So at the TNT meeting, we talked about that intersection, we actually took the word flyover out and just discussed the intersection because we wanted, I mean, while the flyover is certainly the current plan, didn't want to limit ourselves to other potential options that could go there for that very reason.
Okay. but
And will
some-
be less impactful to the surrounding area. Flyovers are pretty rough on the surrounding areas.
Yeah, I never understood why we never had 4 clover leaves there. It's probably one of the only ones in the
Don't
state.
blame the state anymore.
You're right.
Okay, but anyway, it's gonna be
Yeah.
addressed in our request. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Seekers. We have a motion made, properly seconded.
Still concludes my report and I need some approvals. So yes, move for approval.
Motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Now, on to Committee on Ways and Means.
Move for
Councilman Grove.
approval.
As amended
The-
with number 12 included.
Motion made, properly seconded,
Along with number 12.
as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
And that includes the first readings in the agenda.
Yes.
Get through the. You got a folder for me?
We are, yay.
Okay.
She's hysterical. In small doses. And large doses.
I'm getting
she's
ready.
Annoying.
Okay, there are 5 bills up for second reading.
Move for approval 1 through 5.
We have a motion made on items 1 through 5, properly seconded. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. And third reading,
Yeah, can we move 1 through 5 for third reading and ratification?
Second.
a motion made for third reading, properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Give me one. There are no bills up for first reading. The next council date we are going to have is Councilman Brady session next Tuesday, so we have the Brady amendment.
Back.
So we will have, we will be back here again on Tuesday of next week. And if there are no further points of discussion, this meeting is adjourned.